Well, I'm joined now by former Wimbledon champion Boris Becker. It's his first interview about his new book, Inside, detailing his 8 months spent in prison. Boris was jailed in 2022 for hiding £2.5 million of assets and loans to avoid paying debts. He's live from his home in Italy now a free man, although still not able to return to the UK. Very good to talk to you this morning, Boris, and what a book. Crikey, talk about honest. It's all in here, it's all in here. But it got me thinking, on that day, did you think that you would go to jail? Were you prepared to go to prison on that day?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It was April the 29th, 2022, and to make matters even more dramatic, it was the birthday of my wife. Oh. So I got a bunch of flowers in the morning. We went to the court, and then there was a 50-50 chance I got a suspended sentence, but my lawyers told me, honestly, listen, get ready, you might have to go inside.
And there you were, spent 8 months in prison, and you were not given any sort of special treatment. You were just that number.
Yeah, I was A29, 23 EV. Those numbers I'll never forget. Thankfully, especially in HMP Wandsworth, they didn't really care much about tennis or this German, guy that won Wimbledon 17. They just, I was one of many. That served me well at the end, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting, though, because it was frightening at times. I mean, this is a tough prison. You had to sort of navigate your way through that. You had to cope with threats. And then there was these, I'd never heard of these people before, called the listeners.
That's right. They are prisoners, but they have a good standing with the wardens and the authorities. They're long-timers, so they've been in there for at least 5 years. And they're sort of in between, the wardens and you, and especially the first weekend when I, didn't know what the hell was going on. There's a little thing in the cell where you can, call them, and then they come and they say, "Don't worry, you're gonna get used to it." But they were my go-to guys in the first couple of weeks to feel somewhat comfortable, if for lack of a better word.
Yeah. You obviously talk about your experience in jail, but also a lot of the book is looking back at your career. And I remember vividly seeing you winning Wimbledon as a teenager. I think you were only 17 at the time. And in a way, it was the best thing that happened to you. And then in some ways, it was the worst to happen so young.
Look, I wouldn't change it for the world, obviously, but overnight it became this wunderkind, this teen phenomenon, and everybody wanted a piece of me. And I think at 17, you are, I guess, a little bit too young to understand the complexity of Wimbledon champion and being the youngest. To make matters worse, I won it again at 18, so I'm 2 times the youngest. But then from then on, my life became public. Everything I did was judged and was measured, and people started to have opinion about me. And I'm a human being, I make mistakes.
Yeah, and you did make mistakes. I think you were incredible. You can see in the book you were incredibly naive, as indeed a lot of people who become very, very famous and very, very rich very quickly. It can happen to them. We've seen it unravelling. One of the things that you were worried about was whether or not your wife would stay with you, no matter. I mean, I know you love each other very much, and you're looking forward to the birth of your child with Lillian, but you there was a bit in the book where you talk about you sort of understand if she hadn't stayed with you.
Well, before April 29th, obviously, we were partners at the time, and I told her, listen, you're a young woman, you're successful, you're independent, you don't need to wait for me. I don't know how long I have to go. It could be 5 years, it could be 7 years. And then she looked at me almost upset about it, said, no, we are a team. And I kept asking her the question to a point where she got really upset about it. But then once I was inside, she was the only contact with the outside world, talking to my family, my mother, my sister, my ex-wives, and my kids. So she had a very, very important role of telling everybody just to make sure that I'm okay.
Exactly. And the both of you are very happy now. And like I say, looking forward to your baby, looking forward to your 5th kid.
That's right, yeah.
I have to say thank you for the mention in the book, because you did say that you watched my show in prison. I didn't realise I had this fan base. It's fantastic. I'll take it.
Look, before you enhance, it's sort of a prison rule, before you enhance, you spend about 22 hours locked up in a very small cell, and they give you a little television. And I had BBC Channel 4 and ITV, and your morning show is very colourful, entertaining. So that hour went away like this.
Yes, it does. It does go by fast. You're absolutely right. And I'm very glad of it, that's for sure. Now, look, You can't come back to the UK just now. Is that going to change? Because I know you want to come back because you're back commentating on all of the Grand Slams. So you'll be wanting to come back to do that.
Yeah, obviously London is very close to my heart, and especially, you know, the All England Club. And I'm working with the Home Office, I'm working with the Ministry of Justice. And my case is just so unique. There hasn't been something like this before. So hopefully one of these days I'm allowed to go back to Britain.
Exactly. Now, you've served your time. Do you think being in prison has changed you for the better? Do you think?
Look, in hindsight, you have a lot of time to think about. You know, 22 hours is a long time, and obviously there are reasons why I was incarcerated and why I was found guilty. And you have to be very honest with yourself, and you have to face the truth of saying, well, there are reasons for it to happen. Yes, I can always blame other people, but ultimately it's my choice and my decision. So hence the new old look. I said, okay, I got to go back to that mentality of the tennis player that was very disciplined and consistent and knew the rights and the wrongs. And ever since I'm out, this is the lifestyle I'm leading.
Exactly. And there's a lot more to look forward to. Do you know, it's so good to talk to you, Boris. It really is. Like I said, you've served your time. You did your stint in prison. The book is remarkable. It says winning, losing and starting again. And that's exactly what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us from Italy. And good luck to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate having me.
Thank you. Good to talk to you. Very good. So, there you are. I've got I didn't realise a whole new fan base. Hello, everyone watching in prison. Lovely to be with you this morning. Hi there, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. We upload new videos every single day. So click here if you're interested in this video or head to the homepage for more amazing content.